Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to discuss something that entertainment related. It recently came up, the reboot or the continuation of Sex in the City. They call it And Just Like That. Um, so the reason why I want to discuss it, excuse me, is because this past weekend, my wife was like, "Hey, let's let's watch something. Let's have a date night. And she wanted to watch the show. And, she's always watching my content and, the movies and shows I like. So I was like, all right, you know what? I saw the movies, I watched them with her. They were, entertaining. Why not? Let's give it a whirl. And let's be honest. It was one of the worst shows I've ever seen. And I know it's only 2 episodes in, but I'm sorry. It was just garbage to me. It was just trash. And even she felt this way. Like there were so many parts where we just kept looking at each other like, are you serious? Like, what the heck is going on here? Makes absolutely no sense. And let's talk about it. So from all the articles I read, this one has the best title that I've seen. And just like that, it all went wrong. And that's how I felt. The show starts off with a horrible reference to the pandemic. Just I would say this is the problem with the show. It's tone deaf. It's tone deaf. It's woke, and it's soulless. And I guess that ties into it just being tone deaf. So it starts off with a ridiculous pandemic joke about how they were so locked down, and now they're at this plush restaurant, enjoying their great lives, and they're trying to bring back that nostalgia feel of these characters, and it's obviously noticeable that one of them is missing. So they have this ridiculous way of explaining why she isn't there. That she had a fight with one of them, with Sarah Jessica Parker's character, and over that fight, she stopped talking to her, but not just her. She stopped talking to everybody, right? Like she's gone. She's in another country. She's in Paris or something like that. She took a job in, and she's mad at everybody. So I guess you just wreck decades of friendship with everyone over because someone firing you. And the way it was explained, she was fired because publication's dead, and she wants to. Sarah Jessica Parker's character wanted to take on new forms of media instead of just print. So that's the first ridiculous part of the show, right? It starts off with a horrible pandemic reference. Then it goes into a horrible explanation on why one of the main characters isn't there. And it's just the writing is so poor that you can kind of predict what's going to happen. I mean, while they were at their brunch, after the horrible pandemic joke, they start saying, the one girl is trying to convince Sarah Jessica Parker's character to come to their kid's recital, but Sarah Jessica Parker wants to go away with her husband to the Hamptons, and then she's like, okay, she gives in, and she's like, maybe I could convince him, let's leave another day. Now, obviously, the way it's written and the way the expressions are shown in their faces, something's going to happen, right? Like this is going to be a problem, right? This is the first issue. This is going to be the first, problem that we have for our characters. The other woman is now talking about how disgusting it is that she stepped on her son's used condom, and she's making comments about how he's having sex with his girlfriend. She wasn't talking about it in a manner of like, I want to teach him. She was talking about it in a manner like, oh, it's so gross that that's all they do is have sex. Like, they're adults. That's what people do. It's normal for a woman and a man to hook up. That's perfectly normal. I understand if you said, I want to talk to him about the things that may occur when you start having sexual relations and things like that. But no, she's just completely grossed out that she stepped on a condom and that they're having nonstop sex, according to her, right? So now we fast forward. We go to they're at the recital, right? She convinces her husband, "Hey, you know what? Let's leave tomorrow to go to the Hamptons. I want to go to the recital." He obviously didn't want to go. And then here comes the play on play. Like he says like, "Oh, you're jealous of my Peloton instructor, right?" And she's like, "Oh yeah. So they're playing on that, but it's just so poorly written that you could tell something's going to happen right? With this Peloton thing, right? Like, because why are they making a reference like she's jealous of him on the Peloton? So before I get to that, this is they're trying to go out of their way to introduce, a more diverse cast, right? So there's a black woman that I think her name is Charlotte character is obsessed with and wants to befriend. And then Sarah Jessica Parker, Carrie, her character Carrie, she's working as a podcast host, and she's working with two inappropriate people that she shouldn't probably not be working with. It's like the weirdest combination of people. And they're trying to get her to talk about vulgar sex acts and things of this nature. And she's just clearly uncomfortable with it, right? The boss of the show and the main host is non-binary, right? Which is something that I just discovered what it was within the last few years or so. But she's a non-binary individual, and she's just like all for like the vulgar sex talks and all of that. So she tells Carrie's character, so she's discussing with Carrie's character, hey, you need to be more comfortable and loosen up. And she tells her to pussy up. Now, I don't think I'd be wrong to say that if a man told a woman to pussy up over something, that wouldn't go over so well. And you could say, but that character is not a man. True. But she's also not a woman. So if she's not a man, not a woman, does that mean you have a free pass to say whatever you want? Because then hell, everybody want to just be, hey, I'm just non-binary and I could just say what I want and I can never be, reprimanded, and I could never be told I'm inappropriate because I'm non-binary, right? The laws and the rules and morals don't apply to me because I'm non-binary. But I don't want to even take it that far. But I just want to mention like how ridiculous that comment was and how inappropriate it was. And it would not go over well if a man had said that. So, okay, so now let's keep the fast forwarding going. Now they're at the recital. And the recital, they're just doing these. The first kid that plays is horrible. And his parents are embarrassed. And that was actually probably one of the funniest parts. The only entertaining part of it was the dad just like, oh my God, like he ain't ready for this. And just a little embarrassed and he just wants to drink and get out of there because his son's performance is bad. And then it's the Charlotte's girl's son. And I might be mixing their names up. Charlotte Miranda, it might be Charlotte. But her son or her daughter is performing next. And obviously she's amazing, right? And everyone's loving it. And they keep flashing from her performance to the Carrie's character's husband on the Peloton, right? Working out with the instructor that she's jealous of. So he's going hard on the Peloton, and then the other girl's daughter is playing, and it's like as the crescendo happens on the music, he gets more intense, so they're trying to build up this hype, but it's so obvious what's going to happen. He gets off the Peloton, the performance ends, she's ready to go home, and then he starts to feel a pain in his arm. Then that one thing leads to another, and then it's appearing that he's suffering from a heart attack, and he has a heart attack, and he drops his phone, and he's just sitting there slumped over. Now Carrie finally gets home, and she sees him. And she starts immediately yelling and like running to him and like grabbing him, holding him. And the whole time I'm yelling, call an ambulance. What are you doing? Like at that point, it looked like he was still alive. Well, he was still, breathing. And I'm just yelling, why aren't you calling an ambulance? Why are you sitting there holding him? And this is what I mean by poor writing, tone deaf. She's not going to like think, let me call 911. That's the first thing I would do. The first thing any normal person would do. But apparently she doesn't. And that's the cliffhanger for the first episode, right? And it's like, what happened to him? And then we find out in the second episode, yes, he passed. So, now she's having the funeral arrangements, right? She's planning all that. Like, it's just moving like this. Like the pacing on this show is just insane. Now, this guy was one of the major characters on the original series. And if you guys know anything, they actually did a movie about him like leaving her at the altar, and she was so distraught and so broken over this. Like she had to go to Cancun and it took forever for her to get over it. She's doesn't even seem emotional, you know, in the second episode. And I get it. Like people say she's numb and whatever, like hasn't hit her yet. And I get that, but it's just not done well enough where it's believable that she actually even cared. And my other issue with his death is he's the only pretty much straight, strong male character on the show. All the other men on the show so far that are straight are shown in some sort of vulnerable state. Miranda's husband is deaf. And, you know, every scene with him, he's like, huh? What did you say? What? I didn't hear it. What? And so, like, you just killed off the only strong male character. And I get it. He's not one of the, you know, the main characters because it's the three women. But he's an important character. And he is a very important character to the show. And you kill him in the first episode. And, you know, she's over it, you know, the way it's presented by the second episode. And then we're at the funeral and, you know, everyone's just behaving inappropriately. Like no one is sitting there acting like they're seriously mourning. It's ridiculous. You got the one coworker who's like, why is the secretary heartbroken over this? He treated her horribly. And, you know, she's completely inappropriate. She has an inappropriate scene with Carrie where she's like, wants to bring him some old drama that happened between them. And it's like, this is a funeral. What the heck is going on? Like, what is this? Like, what am I watching right now? Like, nothing adds up. Like, the emotion is out of it. You're just sitting there stuck with your face like, wait, what is happening? Am I supposed to be sad or am I supposed to be laughing during the funeral scene of an important character? So you just didn't get it. At the same funeral, Miranda, I believe that's her name, son is smoking weed with the non-binary character, and she sees him and she flips out, and you know she comes at the non-binary individual, and she's like all up in the face and pretty much threatening like, yo, we could get physical. Like that's how angry she is. That's how protective she is over her son. And then she tells her son to go home and that he can't see his girl for a week because obviously that's her way to hurt him. Because remember, first episode, he was complaining about how he spent too much time with her, having too much sex with her. So now, like, I'm going to take her away from you. That's how I'm going to punish you. And then now she doesn't know this is Carrie's boss or coworker. I believe Carrie said that's her boss, but whatever. So right after she finishes yelling, you know, the non-binary individual walks away. And then Miranda walks back into the other room and she sees Carrie talking to the non-binary individual. And then Carrie does the introductions. Like, oh, yeah, this is my coworker, boss. I can't remember what she said. I believe it might be boss. I believe it's boss. And she's like, oh. And then they try to patch things up and she's not pissed anymore. Now it's okay. For some reason, like, oh, you know, I guess because she's my friend's boss, you know, whatever. But I mean, would that truly matter if it really upsets you that much? Again, pacing off, tone off. You just don't know how to read what's happening. You don't know how you should be feeling or what you should be thinking because everything is all over the place. I mean, there's so much stuff that's just out of place. You know, like before, you know, Carrie's husband died, when the non-binary individual told her to pussy up and get more, you know, involved with the vulgar conversations. You know, she asked her husband to masturbate in front of her because she wants to watch it. You know, I guess that's the way that so she can be more open to these kind of things. And I'm just like, what? Look, whatever you guys do in your private bedroom and you and your spouses or whoever, that's fine. But this was forced. It was awkward. I don't think any man would have done it. I think most men would have been like, yo, this is weird. Like, get out of here. You know, like, because he just knows her character and that's not like her. So, you know, that part didn't work. The coworker who's throwing the insults at the funeral didn't work. Miranda's behavior of first she's mad at the non-binary chick, then she's buddy, then like that didn't work. And then it seemed like they were like flirting with each other in that conversation. And it's like, you know, now we know Miranda, the person that plays the character is gay in real life. And, you know, it's been teased that someone is going to turn lesbian or gay this season. And it's obvious, right? Like, because again, your writing is so horrible. that we could just see what's coming. Okay, she's probably going to be the individual that is going to turn. And I'm going to be all over the place, guys, because it's so hard to keep this a secret because there's so many bad things that are happening on these first 2 episodes, and it's just coming at me. There's a scene with Miranda, and then she quit her corporate job and she's going back to school, and she's enamored with this professor. And then, oh, I took your class because you were black. And it was just such a cringe scene about, oh, I took it because you were black. Oh, I took it because you're a woman. And why isn't your hair short? And it was just so inappropriate. The class is inappropriate. But as a viewer, I feel I'm cringing because I'm like, again, what is going on here? Like, this is not normal. People don't behave like this. This is weird. And it's just, it's trying to be woke in a non-creative, bad way. It's trying to be inclusive in a non-creative, embarrassing way. And it's just like, it just seems like this is the content that we're constantly getting. If you're going to revive this show, this was the worst way to do it. So like I said, this article here, because I've been ranting for about 17 minutes, 15 minutes. And it says, look, just like that, it all went wrong. And it did. It just seemed like it was an unnecessary show. So this is her thinking right before she asked her husband to masturbate in front of her. It just doesn't work. Like, nothing works. It just doesn't work at all. And even my wife, we were just looking at each other like, no, there's no way. And we both were like, yeah, we're not watching any more of this, like garbage. Like, and it may get better, I hope it does, but from what we saw, no, like absolutely not. I would never watch another episode of that. So you have Kristin Davis. I think she plays the Charlotte character. So I guess people have been coming at her for her hair, face. I mean, it does look like she had, some work done. And, that's what she's mad about. Like, oh, people are insulting me. And it's like, isn't that what happens when you're on a show or a movie? Like, people are going to criticize. First of all, we just live in an era where it's just so much criticism. But I tell you what, the show was good and interesting and creative. Maybe they would overlook it. But it's so bad that people are just nitpicking everything. So down to your hair, your face, to the show. It's just horrible. So like people, of course people are going to nitpick at it because it's just so bad. So Kim Cattrall, she plays a Samantha character that didn't want to come back. And so she recently spoke out. And I don't know the drama behind why she didn't come back, and I don't really care about the drama. But I would say to her, unless she needed a paycheck, it's probably a good idea that she didn't come back because, this show's, it's just not good. And if you like it, hey, more power to you. But in my opinion, it's horrible. It's not worth a watch. I wouldn't recommend anybody to watch this show. It's the woke politics. It's trying to be inclusive. The show from what I remember, it didn't have much people of color. And now they're trying to just throw people of color that don't fit. It doesn't work. It's out of place. It's inappropriate. And, just like that, they should have killed off Samantha Jones. I mean, it might have been better. And it would have been better than the ridiculous, like, oh, she got into a fight with Carrie because she fired her because Carrie doesn't want to do print anymore or whatever. But that makes her not want to be friends with the other girls. It was just like, who thought of this? Like, there's no way an adult came up with these plot lines and came up with this story and wrote it. It's just no way. And maybe the creativity got taken out so they could put in woke politics and, let's be inclusive. Let's talk about race and let's talk, it's just like, let's kill off the one strong black male lead and let's be grossed out by the idea of heterosexual sex, and it's just like, wow, and like I said, maybe some of you guys like this show. Maybe you enjoyed it, the first 2 episodes, but thought it was horrible. I've seen both of the movies. I've seen a couple episodes of, a couple seasons. Let me be honest. You could say whatever you want, but the first couple of seasons when the show was on HBO, I was into it. after a while, it's just the reoccurring themes. You're just like, all right, I'm done. It's just the same thing happening over and over again. Like, you're with this guy, you're not with this guy. He cheats. She. It was just that kind of stuff was just reoccurring. So after a while, you just get turned off because like I already know the plot lines. But at least the acting and the writing was still pretty good. I just wasn't entertained by it anymore. But I wouldn't never bash it. So no, it's a bad show. It's a horrible show because it was still creative and it still had entertaining moments. And same thing for the movies. First movie was by far much better than the second, which is probably more of a cash grab. But this seems like a cash grab on top of woke politics, on top of inclusive politics, on top of let's, like it's like they was just trying to get the bag. And while you're trying to get the bag, let's throw on some of these politics like everyone else has been doing. Let's make men look bad and inferior, and the one strong guy that people do respect, let's kill him off, and let's introduce non-binary characters. I mean, look, if you want to introduce that, there's ways to do it. But when we know Carrie's character, we can't see her working for this company. You don't even explain it, like how she got there. There's no like, oh, she just, no, like it's like it just throws us into this scene of she's working for this podcast now, and that's what she's trying to do with her life. But it seems like it's their first time working together. Like it's their first podcast. Maybe it was said. I was so out of it, so maybe I missed some details. But she just doesn't fit. And I'm guessing maybe by the end of the first season she will fit, or maybe she won't. Maybe she'll just leave and try to bring back print and writing her articles and things of that nature. But whatever they do, I don't see it working. It just started off this bad, and I think it's going to end bad. And I think the politics are going to get worse. These woke politics. We just don't need politics and social justice issues in our entertainment. And if you are going to put it, you have to do it in a clever, creative way. Like there's so many ways to be inclusive. There's so many ways to convey a message without it being cringe, without it being tone deaf, without it being inappropriate, and with it being creative. It just takes time, and it has to be. And you got to find the right writers and the directors who want to do this, right? Because if you keep putting people in who just want to shoehorn politics in, you're just going to end up with garbage. And it's happening to so many franchises now. Like again, it seems like they just latch on to these IPs, these successful IPs from the past that have nostalgia, and they run off the name, and they use the name to throw in their politics because they know people are going to tune in because of the IP, right? Like this happened with Star Wars, it's happening with Marvel, and now it's happening with Sex and City. It's like because they know they don't have the ability to create anything new for their targeted audience, they take nostalgic IPs and throw it into that. Because they know they're going to get the bag, because people are going to tune in because they want the nostalgia. They love these characters, but it's not the same characters. The characters are completely different. They're tone deaf. They're inappropriate. It's just embarrassing, and it's frustrating because it's like, Jesus Christ, I can't even enjoy a chick flick show, right? That's what they call them. Where I can't even enjoy a nice show or a show that's catered towards women with my wife. Because even that's garbage. And she couldn't stand it. And we just got to do better. The entertainment world has just been going downhill for the last couple of years. It's hard to support it. I hope it gets better. I believe it maybe when the wokeness goes broke, right? Go woke, go broke. Maybe when that starts happening, the viewership goes down, the ratings go down, the money goes down. They might say, hey, you know what? Maybe this was a bad idea. Let's leave the politics to the politicians. Let's leave the news to the news. And let's just entertain people and become creative. And if we want to make a point about something, we're going to find a creative, inventive way to do it. I mean, I'm watching the new season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and they nailed it. But I don't even want to talk about this other shows. I'm talking about this show. And just like that, we get more woke garbage. And it's unfortunate. And I hope this stops soon. Because, it's like I don't even want to subscribe to anything. I might as well just watch YouTube, you know, and keep making YouTube content. But I'm gonna end the video here. And as always, if you like the video and you want to hear more, you know, hit that like, subscribe, share button, hit the notification, that little bell swinging. If you didn't like the video, I appreciate you watching it anyway. Don't forget to leave comments below if you liked it, didn't like it, you liked this video, don't like the video. Just tell me what you think about the show. Let's just chop it up. You know, I'll be replying to all the comments. And as always, take care of your mind, take care of your body, take care of each other. And that's all we got. Peace.